Good afternoon. Today we have assembled here to go ahead and contribute for the celebration of the Rashtriya Ekta Divas. We are going to be participating for the debate. The topic for the debate is going to be, should the government have the power to disrupt the internet service on the grounds of national security? For this particular debate, I will have certain rules that are going to be laid down. The debate will have 8 participants from the classes 9 to 12. 4 participants will speak for the motion and 4 against the motion. Each speaker will be given 1 minute to speak. An indication would be given to the student at the end of half a minute to indicate that he has to wind up his or her debate. Another reminder will be given at the end of 1 minute to say that he has to go ahead and sum up his speech and stop. After every speaker finishes his debate, 2 minutes will be allotted for the rebuttal. This rebuttal will be in the form of short and precise questions asked by the members of the competing teams on the content of the speaker's presentation. In case no question is asked within 10 seconds, the chairperson or the moderator will remind the competitors that if no question is asked within next 10 seconds, then the judges will give full marks for rebuttal to the speaker. The participants for the motion are Anirvinya of 9E, Zaman of 9A, Siri of 10A, and Rahul of 12C. Moving to the against team, the participants are Prasanna of 9D, Harsha of 10A, Mrudula of 10E, and Siddharth from 12A. Let's have a huge round of applause for our participants before we begin. To begin the debate, we will have the 4 teams speaking first. The first speaker from the 4 team is going to be Siri of 10A.
Firstly, I would like to say that any government has a right, and its function is to protect its citizens and also safeguard the national security. It can take any kind of steps. It might be even stopping or reducing the freedom of mobilization or even communication, because it is very important for the government to take useful measures, even extraordinary measures like confiscating property, so that they could safeguard their citizens. And this only applies to the time of crisis. They cannot take important measures when they have been wrong. And it's mainly mentioned that the government has the power to take any security measures while the national security is threatened.
Let's have the round of rebuttal. Let's have the first question from the team.
Siri, you said that the government should take useful measures to safeguard the citizens by disrupting the internet. But I don't think you have to remove the internet completely to safeguard the country. You can also.
Okay. Disrupting is not just, it doesn't mean that you're completely taking the internet services away from them. It can also mean that they are, keeping an eye on what, are the searches that people are making, the country people are making, the searches that they do on the net.
Thank you. Let's have the next question, please.
You saying that government has the right to oppress any fundamental rights from the people in the time of national security, when the national security or the public safety is at stake. Yeah, the government has the right to take away the rights, except the right to life. But is it a permanent solution to to disrupt the internet services and take the rights away, or keeping an eye? That's what we've been saying, that keeping an eye is the better policy than disrupting the internet services. Is it a permanent solution?
Disrupting internet is not a permanent solution. They just disrupt the internet at the time of crisis, and they may get it back after the time of crisis is gone.
Thank you. Let's have another question from the team, please.
Then how is it going to help if by disrupting the internet, how is it going to help the people during the crisis?
They can find out how people are actually, behaving at the time of crisis, because the searches that they make is also very important, and the national security is at stake at that moment. It is also related to the searches that they make on them.
We'll have the last question from the team.
Yeah, as you already told that the searches depend on actually the security depends on the searches that the people make, but then it is also, we can also say that the searches can be useful for the country. So how do you, isn't it affecting the people's development?
I am not just talking about the searches. It is also, in many countries, violence has also taken place due to internet. People mass mobilize people to join such violent, riots, which is wrong.
Thank you very much. Let's have the next speaker to go ahead and give the speech.
One of the main reasons why we elect a government is for our security. And I think for the sole purpose of security, the government should be allowed to disrupt the internet for the purpose of national security. In the light of recent events, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, I think this organization has been promoting and recruiting people through the internet. They have gone to the level of posting a video of the execution or the brutal beheading of Jim Foley. Now talking about the social networking sites, many of the pages that we see on Facebook are actually in the day-to-day activities. There are many hate speeches which are being published on them. There are thousands of videos which are being taken off from social networking and social broadcasting sites every day because they spread hate speeches, and as a result of this, it has resulted in many religious riots. So I would like to conclude by just saying that this government that we elect in the idea of democracy is we ourselves. So I don't think we should put a restriction or challenge the privacy that we are taking away from ourselves.
Thank you, Rahul. Let's have the round of rebuttal.
You said that we should, the government should take away the internet things, but you're looking at only the bad things. Don't you know, what about the good things that are happening because of the internet? Like, for example, awareness about Gaza was because of internet. What would you say about that?
See, I would just say I just said that the government should keep an eye on the people. The good things like Gaza. Let me tell you, that is a dual mentality thing. See, when some people are spreading good things about Gaza, at the same time, there are people spreading rumors about Gaza, and there are many who are contradicting Gaza and saying that Israel was right in doing what they actually did. So I would like to say, the government, by keeping an eye, is only putting a restriction on events that may actually happen later on.
Thank you. Let's have the next question.
You're the one who is saying what is right and what is wrong. Do you know what the mentality of ISIS is? We don't know. Maybe they have a strong point about what they are saying. So how can you say that what they did is wrong?
I'm not being judgmental on this. The only thing that I think which is wrong in this is killing of many innocent people, which the IS or the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria has been involved in.
Thank you. The next question.
As you have spoken about the ISIS, that is the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, the internet doesn't only help in the development of ISIS, but also there are many rescue groups who are following the internet, and with the help of the internet, mobilizing people to go and help the victims of the ISIS.
What I try to say is that the government should keep an eye on ISIS. There are the policies of the people joining together to fight. The people joining together to fight against the ISIS is a good thing, which will be internationally acclaimed and internationally appreciated. So I don't think there will be any problem in people doing that.
Thank you. There will be the last question from the team now.
So disrupting the internet services, or as you say, keeping an eye on the things what people are doing when the national security is at stake, do you think it is beneficial to beef up the security of the nation, beef up the security on the internet side, and promote ethical hacking, which is good for the nation? I mean, put up firewalls, put up certain people to look after internet sites, like London metropolitan cities have already done, checking on Twitter, Facebook, such social sites. don't you think it is better to beef up security rather than disrupting or not providing services during when public safety is
The whole
at
point
stake?
of disrupting the net, and maybe, like you said, ethical hacking is a very good thing. It comes under the major topic of disrupting the internet. By sending in ethical hackers, it is actually disrupting the internet, which is a good thing. That's what I was trying to conclude through my speech.
Thank you very much. Let's have the next speaker from the team.
Historically, the governments of countries have always had the right to control access to internet by the people. This is a very reasonable notion. It prevents terror groups from recruiting people into it. It helps in intercepting data and propaganda of an enemy state. Not just a state, a terror group also, again, an enemy, a general enemy. For example, both Bush administrations imposed a block on media and internet during the time when the bodies of the dead soldiers were being brought back at the Dover airport. The internet should be blocked in times when the national safety is concerned. It is very important.
Thank you, Anirvinya. Let's have the round of rebuttal from the team. The first question from here.
How did that really help the government?
It helped by stopping people from spreading negative views. The American soldiers were sent to a different country to help people over there, to promote peace. And they died working for something that would ultimately lead to a good cause. So the dead soldiers were being brought back to their families, and some people who would probably promote negative views about this, their views will be disrupted.
Thank you. Let's have the next question, please.
As you told that blocking or disrupting the internet services will help in the prevention of terrorist attacks or any other things of such kind, but then how can that help when the people of your own country are being disappointed by your disruption of the internet services and are ready to go for, say, you can go for rioting or anything that actually puts the nation in a security crisis?
Not everybody would want to riot. There are people who would like to remain peaceful, and blocking the internet stops people from recruiting such people, as I have said before.
Thank you. The last question from the team.
You said that internet is basically a fundamental right. Not directly, but indirectly, it is a fundamental right. So if you're basically if you're disrupting the internet services, then why do you think people will just let you do that? They will riot. So what do you think? How are you going to stop something like that?
A fundamental right is supposed to protect your life. You can't live without a fundamental right. Haven't people such as our parents and grandparents lived without the internet? There's a telephone if they need to communicate. Internet is used. The main purpose of internet was to communicate views, to communicate from one location to the other. Why would you need internet during a time of crisis?
Thank you very much, Anirvinya. Let's have the last speaker from the team.
We all know how the internet has been advancing in its technologies in the coming years, which have been, and also the internet can also be used as an imminent threat to the public. It's also said that when there's a public protest coming on, and when the public officials come to know of it, they're going to spread about the protest through the internet so that everyone will come and join the riot just because they want to go against what is going to happen. It is also more like this, that governments are interested to protect the safety and the privacy of the public over there, and it would be irresponsible of their part if they would just leave people sharing their information of riots like social networking sites. Also, during the summer in London, during summer in 2011, during the riots, they shared the information of the riots and the gatherings going on where Facebook, Twitter, and most importantly, BlackBerry Messenger was used. All this, if they would have just disrupted the internet at that time because it was a crisis, I think the riots would have stopped. This is one of the reasons why the government should have a control over the internet.
Thank you, Zaman. Let's have the round of rebuttal. The first question from the team would be.
Like you mentioned London about 2011 riots, Metropolitan Police of London have laid a serious eye on social networking sites like Facebook and Twitter and have been managing what people are doing. I would like to ask you, Rather than just disrupting the internet sites, why wouldn't police at the first site, or police or the government officials, as you say, go at the first site of, or the first hint when the riot is going to take place and take those people into charge? Why can't they do it beforehand, rather than disrupting the internet services for all the people, for the common people also?
Because as soon as, if you see, if they would have already disrupted the internet, then there would be no means of communicating about the riots. So I don't think the riots would even take place in the first place. The riots wouldn't even start because the internet was already disrupted. If they would have tapped it, maybe the riots would have already started and it would cause chaos everywhere.
The next question from the team.
You said riots are always end up in violence, but you have the hashtag in Twitter. If you get the hashtag trending, many people in the world get to know what is going on in the place. Then it need not be only violence. You are sitting in front of the computer and raising awareness of something which is going on in the world.
But if they would have already disrupted the internet, I don't think even the riots would have come out. And what's the need for other people to know about riots which are not going to take place at all?
The next question from the team.
You said awareness is not only about the bad things that are happening in the world. You can talk about Swachh Bharat. Awareness is, there is awareness about Swachh Bharat through internet also. So you're saying that riots, you can stop the riots, but it's not about riots over here. It's about awareness of social issues.
I think we're talking about national security here, and this is only at the point when there's national security and national security is at stake. During national crisis, they can be disrupted. But other than that, I don't think the government needs to disrupt the internet.
Thank you. Let's have the last question from the team.
As you spoke of riots, would the people riot without a particular grievance, and suppressing or disrupting the internet services would actually put the grievance down and actually keep the people from getting a solution for the grievances? How do you prevent that?
Because see, if they would have wanted solutions to stop the riots out there, maybe if they would have, of course they can use that to get the solutions within that. But then, like I said before, if you would have already stopped using internet, making sure they don't get the information, I don't think there would be any need of information, solutions to find out solutions about it.
Thank you very much. Let's have a huge round of applause for the team. We'll begin with the team where they will go ahead and speak against the motion. The first speaker from the team would be Mrudula.
Our topic is, should the government have the power to disrupt internet services on the grounds of national security? And I'm Mrudula speaking against the topic. I think that disrupting the internet is not the permanent solution for any national security. If you are worried about national security, actually internet will help you to get solutions. It's not the problem, it is rather the solution. You can get solutions of many kind of problems. Like for example, people put up their demands. If there's some kind of a riot happening, their demands can be spread through the internet also. And many other kind of awarenesses can be spread through the internet, and if the internet is removed, it is going to be a huge problem and an economic loss also.
Thank you. Let's begin with the round of rebuttal. The first question would be?
You said that the people can post their demands on the social networking sites, but those demands can also be negative, which are against the constitution. So such demands, if they are posed, then most of the people go against the government, which can lead to a civil strife, which is wrong.
If you know the demands first, it is only then you decide whether you accept them or no. So for knowing the demands, internet can be useful.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's have the next question, please.
Is internet the only way of trying to spread your demands to the government?
It is not the only way, it is the fastest and efficient way.
But you know, when there's a mass protest going on, I think it's way better than the internet way of spreading awareness, because when a mass protest goes on, the government has to act immediately.
We are not talking about a mass protest only in one country. If there's a mass protest in a country, other countries, how will they get to know? Television is a slow mean. Who goes and turns on the news channels? Internet is the faster mean for everything.
There are so many people who turn on news channels. Your statement is probably incorrect. Many families who are unable to access internet services, who are unable to buy computers, turn on their TV to know what is happening around the world?
I meant to say that few people turn on to the television, but most of them prefer internet. They go on to internet for information.
Thank you very much. Let's have the next speaker from the team, please.
I'm Siddharth of Class 12A, and I'm here to speak against the notion, should government have the power to disrupt internet services on the grounds of national security. Even when the national security or the public safety is at stake, the government needn't necessarily disrupt the internet services, because the national security or the national stake can be averted these days only by economic status of the country. And the economic status of the country immediately goes down when the internet is disrupted, because e-commerce and e-business has been growing vastly since the last decade. And we living in one of the biggest democracies, not one of the, apparently it is the biggest democracy in the world. Particularly, if the internet services go down, it will be a huge problem for the people to send messages to the government, or the government sending messages to the people. If the government disrupts the internet, like in certain situations, maybe the other countries or the allies of our country cannot reach our country properly. News channels are a way, and newspapers are a way to send messages, but news channels and newspapers are local. Internet, whereas it is a worldwide medium, you can easily send messages through internet to other countries. So internet has to be there when the national security is at stake. Rather, beefing up security is a better option rather than disrupting the internet services to the general people. I would like to conclude my speech by saying that internet is a must when the national security is at stake, because I believe internet is the only way which we can avert national security into being good for the other people. Thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth. Let's have the round of rebuttal. The first question from the team would be?
You think there is no problem in the government putting an eye on the people using the internet or their communication or something like that?
Yeah, I guess putting an eye on the people's social media or metropolitan, like London did already, like I've mentioned you, London did, metropolitan police putting up an eye on the social media of people is a better option rather than removing the internet from people.
Disrupting the internet has different intensities. It is not just completely removing the internet, it is also keeping an eye on the people.
Disrupt is a harsh word when it comes to this. Disrupt usually means removing the access by common or general people to the international media.
The last question from the team.
You mentioned that internet can be used to send messages faster than any other medium. Aren't there telephones? If internet is disrupted, taking into account all the reasons we mentioned, why, it would be better to use a telephone. Don't you think so?
How many people are you going to call on an international medium? You're going to call how many states, how many countries when you want to spread a message fast? Before this decade, there has been no Security Council, no UN, United Nations. Now, if you want a permanent or a permanent solution, you do have a solution because you want the internet now and it goes on a faster medium. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's have the next speaker from the team.
Hello, I'm Harsha. I think that the government should not be disrupting the services, as the economic status of the nation is the basis of the security. For a government to maintain its security, it needs money. And the source of money, a major source of money in fact, for the nation is through the e-commerce that is developing and that is taking place over the internet. And internet can also be used as a medium of research for people to research and improve the security arrangements of the nation. It can also be used for a better use, and it can be used for improving your security rather than stopping the internet and you're limiting your own places for security. Thank you.
To begin with the round of rebuttal, the first question.
You mentioned e-commerce. Now, during a national riot, during a national crisis, why would anybody want to concentrate on e-commerce? All the money that is already present with the country would be utilized in keeping the calm of the country. Who would concentrate on e-commerce?
Yeah, but then as you told that e-commerce will not be concentrated, how is that possible when, as you can see, Gujarat riots were going on, but then people in Andhra Pradesh, in fact people throughout India, have been buying things. The economy did not stay still. There has been actions being taken place. The crisis does not take place throughout the country.
So you're telling me that e-commerce is a very important thing, but what I would like to say with evidence is that e-commerce only constitutes for the 5% buyings and dealings in the country.
During a national security crisis or anything of that kind, when each and every particular small thing is important and 5% is not at all a small thing.
If the national security is at threat, who do you think will be willing to send anything to a country which is almost at life taking? Which the national security is at threat. I mean, no one's going to send anything, right?
People from other countries, let us go for Amazon or eBay or any other thing, have a major important place for them for sale is India. People who can buy things are more in India than most of the countries in the world.
Thank you very much. Let's have the last speaker from the team.
During a national crisis, if there's a problem, the whole wide world needs to know if the government is doing something wrong. Then you just tweet out something and everyone starts tweeting the same thing. It starts trending. People in the world come to know things which are going wrong in the country just through the internet. And many people have their lives tied to the internet. One day if the internet doesn't work, they lose the payment for a day.
Don't you think your examples contradict the main point of your statement? I mean,
I'm trying to say that it's not it's not the government affairs what I'm talking about. It's the more of the public affairs. Like the countries fighting for something what the government is doing wrong. Only then the people are going to go on to Twitter and other social medias and fight about it and spread awareness.
Thank you very much. Let's have a huge round of applause for both the sides. With this, we end the debate. I hope with what the discussion has been made by both the teams, for and against, have definitely laid an insight to all the people who have been sitting here. I'm sure it must have been a little beneficial to all of you all who are sitting here. Thank you for being such a good audience. Thank you so much.